Yeah, all right.
Listen, he was killing David Price until he fucking heard it to deal off.
It was his chest. It was his chest. I'll never forget that.
David Price and I did.
Was you in his corner for that? Because that was hilarious. Oh right, okay.
He hadn't won. Listen, Price was jacking. He was done.
That was frustration. That was, weren't it?
Yeah.
Got to make sure I can reach the captain. The captain, better known as Peter Fury, abs of October Red. But we're in Birmingham today. But you know what? Welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you, Peter.
It's a pleasure to see you, Abs, as well. Really nice to see you. Looking well, healthy, happy. You know, that's the key.
That's the effect you have on me, Peter.
Oh, well, that'll do then.
But let's talk about you. Let's talk about boxing. I get to see your conversations that you have with the likes of Coogan and stuff. And there's so many things going on in boxing. There's so many changes. We've got the involvement of Saudi Arabia now. I mean, your thoughts on that and the way that boxing is evolving?
Yeah, listen, it's all good. If fights can be made, which sounds like Saudi's putting them on, then good for boxing. Very good. You know, I like fights happening in England, but you know, it is what it is. If it takes it to make heavyweight boxing out there, then so be it.
We look at like the talent spotting and even like the promoters working together, people that you wouldn't even see in the same room, smile or shake hands. But His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh, is making that happen. You've been in boxing for a very long time. When you see that happening, what are your thoughts? I know you said, yep, it's good for the heavyweights, but literally bringing people together that necessarily don't even like each other.
Yeah, you don't have to like each other, it's business. And if the money's there and it makes sense, and they've got to put the fighter first. So, yeah, listen, it's all, a lot of it is all bullshit, isn't it? And ego issues, but the main thing is they're all getting together and getting the fights on. It's all about the fighter. They ain't got to love each other, have they? So it's all about getting the right fights, and if whatever it takes to make it happen, money's there, of course they're going to get together, aren't they?
What are your thoughts on, I mean, we've got Anthony Joshua is going to fight Francis Ngannou, MMA fighter, tough fighter. We've seen him have his first boxing match a few months ago. Your thoughts on him and Anthony Joshua, the crossover, as it were?
Hey, you know, it's boxing. Yeah, you'd expect Joshua to win it, but you can't underestimate Ngannou. You know, he comes to fight. The guy's in superb condition, and you can only but wish him well anyway, from where he's come from and what he's doing. And you know, and basically, if he gives Joshua fits, then he's turning boxing up on its head completely. So that's what makes it interesting to see, you know, if what's going to happen. So yeah, look, it's all good anyway.
Boxing in the UK, and something that I wanted to ask you about is what is happening with young Hughie. I know he's training, I know he's in the gym because I've been there and I've seen it. But it's like, when is he going to get back under the lights? When can we see Hughie back out?
You know, we're being messed around at the moment, so I have to see. I'm waiting to speak to Mick, but we have to wait and see what happens because we are being messed around at the minute. So I can't really say much more than that. But you know, I will comment on it in due course. I just want to speak to Mick first before, you know, I really say what my thoughts are. But I will say them very soon. So, but like I said, I'll wait and I'll see what Mick's got to say.
Or could we trust you to have a couple of glasses of wine and let it all rip on the Twitter about 9:30 onwards at night? Those are my favourite tweets.
Yeah. I won't need a glass of wine for this one. I look forward to it, actually.
You've got young Matty Harris who's just been here. He's been doing some sparring with the likes of Solomon Dakers and Cash Ali. How's Matty getting on? You know, he's got his fight coming up now. We've got the fight date, March the 1st, up in Telford. Your thoughts on how Matty's progressing under the tutelage of yourself?
Matt's a young pup. You know, he's a big heavyweight, and he's coming on. You know, piece by piece. We can't move magic wands, but he's improving, and you know, it's that steady progress. There's a lot of stuff we're working on with Matt, mentally and physically as well. So, but he's growing. You know, every time he comes in, every week, there's slight little improvements. You know, sometimes they're minute, and sometimes they're big. So we just take it steady. But I'm happy with him, and yeah, he's improving.
What is it like? You're an experienced coach when you have a fighter that, one for a better word, has got bad habits or habits that you'd like to break them out of to get them to be a better fighter. What is it like? How is it for a coach to try and almost like you're retraining them? If one for a better, it's like you're retraining a wild dog or a dog that's got habits from its previous owner. It's probably a harsh way to put it.
No, but it's true. And you're right, because Matt was very right-hand happy. You know, forget the rest of it. Let me get my right hand off. You know, that doesn't take you anywhere in boxing. Plus, it's knowing how to use the ring control, pacing the rounds, you know, and relaxing in there, and just getting about your job. There's so many things. But he's a brand new heavyweight, and I mean brand new because he's had 7 amateur fights. You know, he's 6 professional fights here and there. You know, he's had no experience, so it's starting from scratch with him, and there's a lot to learn. But he's getting there. He's got talent. It's just, you know, it's the same old thing. It's polishing the diamond, isn't it? The diamond's there. We've got to find it.
Having that patience to be able, because I've got no doubt whatsoever, you're not short of fighters that want to be trained by yourselves. We know your history in boxing. We know who you've trained. I've even spoken to Dillian White myself, and he said, you know, Peter Fury, top guy, top trainer. So when you look at Matty, why did you say, you know what, he'd be welcome into the fold? Because I've spoke to some trainers and they're like, we don't accept everybody. We don't want to train everybody. It's only certain fighters. So what is it about Matty that you said, all right, I'll take this challenge on?
Because he's a nice young fella, and I can see the potential in him. The potential is there. It's just, you know, it takes time to get it out. And, you know, people can expect too much of a young heavyweight. So he's got to grow into the sport. You know, there's one thing, you can do as much training in the gym, you can do anything, but you've just got to grow into it. And, you know, be prepared to get wet and, you know, throw shots away. Be prepared to miss, make mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn. You know, that's it. You can be too careful. You know, so there's a lot of combination of things to talk about. But the main thing is getting him confident, building his confidence, getting him in there, getting used to getting it, sparring with all different styles. We just come back from Holland, and he sparred with a lot of different styles out there. You know, and he's had a few black eyes, and he's got a few swelled eyes and stuff. So, you know, he's getting used to it. You know, nobody likes to be it, but it's only the mistakes that you're making why you're getting it. So it's for you to think, right, well, I'm doing this and doing that, and, you know, learn on the job. You know, so he's learning. He's a big heavyweight, but, you know, so far so good. He's improving.
We're looking forward to seeing him out on March the 1st, but it would be rude of me not to speak about Savannah Marshal, a fighter that's been with you from day dot herself, and there's sort of like taken this PFL, signed to PFL, looking at a bit of mixed martial arts. Talk to us about that, Peter, because I know that you've got an MMA fighter in your gym anyway, haven't you?
No, I've got no MMA fighter in the gym. She's with Andy Aspinall and Tom.
That's it, Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, and we know them very well, and she's boxing. She's boxing in June, I think, in Newcastle, on well, the MMA fighting. So she was due to fight in March with a boxer. That never prevailed. So she's taking that fight, and we'll see what we are towards the end of the year.
May I ask, why didn't the fight come into fruition with Boxer? Because I wasn't even aware that she was. I thought this is it now. She's doing the MMA and boxing's on pause for a bit. So what happened with Boxer?
That's a question you need to ask them, but you know, I don't really want to speak about them at the moment. But the thing is, she got messed around a little bit, and we move on.
We move on. So how is the training going with Savannah then? Like you said, you know, this is a new sport for her, but she's open to taking on new challenges, and I think that's a good thing. That some of the people in the sport, if boxing sometimes takes a pause, they're able to like use their attributes and probably train in a familial sport.
You know, I'm hearing all good things about the PFL. It's supposed to be very, very good. You know, Mick speaks very highly of them. Savannah does as well. So I think it's good for the sport. Clarissa Shields is in it, so it's all good. So they're on a collision course anyway. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting.
And speaking of Hennessy, cannot go without speaking about young Fran. A delight to watch, a delight, an absolute pleasure to speak with. But she's really got some flash about her, hasn't she? Talk to us a little bit about Fran Hennessy.
I've got a lot of respect for young Fran, you know. She's really a genuine young girl, you know, innocent young girl. And, you know, she's doing exceptionally well, loves the sport. You know, I think her dad said to me a good while ago, oh, he said she wants to box. I don't really want her to box. But, you know, but she wants it herself. You know, so obviously she wants it and her dad's supporting her all the way with it. So she's a brilliant talent, young Fran, and she's going to get a lot better, and she's doing very good under Bradley Skeet. Experienced fighter herself. You know, they're working very well together, so I am seeing the improvement with every fight they're having.
And may I ask, and this is your expert opinion, we've got a lot of good light heavyweight talent in the UK. You know, I like the light heavyweights and the cruiserweights and the heavyweights in the UK. We've got some good fighters. We see Joshua Buatsi mix it up with Dan Aziz. We've seen the return of Craig Richards, and then we've seen like Anthony Yard come out on the weekend as well. When you look at the light heavyweights, and fair enough, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, world level, world champions, they're going to be fighting, I think, June the 1st. When you look at the Brits, Peter, which one of those Brit light heavyweights stand out to you, and why?
I think they're all good. I think Yard's got something. I think we know Yard's mixed it with the best already, and he only fell short on lack of experience. But Yard's a good fighter, so I pick him for big things. But Buatsi as well, you know, they're good fighters. These, so that I believe that fight's going to be made soon between them two. So it's a brilliant fight to see. There's a lot of good light heavyweights, a lot of good ones.
And when you're looking at this fresh crop, I'll end up back on the heavyweights. Obviously, you've got Matty and you've got Hughie. When you look at the heavyweights that are here, this next gen of heavyweights, you've got the likes of Solomon Dakers, Moses Atuma, Fraser Clark, David Adelaide, all of those guys that are in it, and excuse me if I've missed off any names. Where do you see like Matt amongst those in a few years' time? Because like you said, he's still a young pup.
You know, look, I'm into world level boxing, so I'm, you know, all as Matt's got to do, he's got to listen, he's got to be dedicated, and you know, it's up to him how far he can go. It's up to him. You know, has he got the mentality to have Groundhog Day every day of his life? You know, that's it. But if he's got the mental strength to match the natural ability he's got, then the rest, it'll come into place. It'll fall into place. I can talk till I'm blue in the face to him. Yeah, it's giving too much information to a kid that's not ready for that information, if that makes sense. So it's piece by piece. Tell him a little bit, tell him the reasons why, tell him a little bit, and let him grow steady with no real pressure. And that's the thing. So, you know, it's all about, you got to know your boxing, especially with heavyweights. How many heavyweights do you see? They start off looking good and they end up dog shit. And the ones that start off not looking so great turn out to be very good. Because it's that dedication, it's that knowledge, keeping them on track, you know, and, you know, knowing that they've got that talent and believing in you as well, what you're telling them is correct. That's another thing. So yeah, he's ticking all the boxes. He's been with me now a good few months, and he's progressing. He's getting a lot fitter. So yeah, he's getting better because now he's in a playing field where he's getting it back. Now he's in a playing field where he's getting it back. He's not relying on a big shot, and he's boxing. So that's the fundamentals to the sport. So that's where he's at the moment. So we're just progressing on that.
It's interesting that you say that though, Peter, because another fighter that you could say relied on that backhand of his was Deontay Wilder, and then we've seen him go through, have the fights, and then against Joseph Parker, somebody that can nullify the backhand, that can take it away from you. Then where does it leave you when somebody takes away your best attributes? Then what other tools have you got in the box?
Listen, power's a good thing to have in the heavyweights,
No doubt.
But power by itself is nothing on the world stage, because you get taken to school. And this is the thing, you know, with the right guidance, power, you know, it's only going to happen if you make a mistake. On the world scene, good fighters don't really make them silly mistakes, especially when you've got a guy in front of you that can take your head off. Yeah? But if that's all you've got, it's not a problem on that world stage, because it's very easy to work game plans around it and nullify that power. So you've got to have more than one gear. You know, in world level boxing, you need 10 gears. You know, and then you need 10 mental gears to go with the 10 gears. So you've got to be prepared for every eventuality. What do you do when your rounds are going wrong? What do you do when you drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You change it up, do something different. It just depends how you see and how you're instructing that fighter. You know, but you can tell fighters till you're blue in the face. Can they change it up? It's very hard when they're in there to change things. But they have to be, you've got to adapt. They've got to be a bit of a chameleon in there on the world stage. Can't rely on one thing.
How do fighters develop that IQ then? Because like you said, they've got to be able to do the decision making. They've got to be able to change it up when they're in the ring. Be dynamic, because you can watch lots of footage and then the fighter might decide to do something else on the night, and it's 1 minute 30 into a 3-minute round. They can't turn around it and like start asking you for instructions. So how do you build the IQ with the fighters?
It's constantly speaking to them, and it's practice and learning. Clever fighters become world champions. Yeah, and if they can take on board and be good students of the game, you know, it's the same as somebody going to school, isn't it? Somebody will stay where they are, and somebody ends up in university. It's not much different. The one who can take the instructions, listen on board, and take it on board and listen to it and practice it. Not when that bell goes, there's the red mist come over and they just do their own thing in there, then they're going to stay where they are. It's all about learning, absorbing the information and transferring that information into what you need to do to the fighter. And the fighter needs to put his own stamp on what you're telling him.
And that's going to take a lot of patience, I guess, from like both of you, because sometimes what if you come up against somebody that's idle or somebody that just doesn't seem to sink in with them, that like you said, they've got one tool, but it's like getting through with like the mental side of it.
Then it's very simple. You don't box. If I don't see what I'm seeing in there, forget a pay ticket, I'm in that corner. You're on my name. You're not boxing. If you're shit, you're shit. You're not boxing. That's it. If I don't see the improvements, forget about it. I don't need 10%. What am I in it for? To watch a shit performance in there? That ain't happening. So improve, because you ain't boxing.
Love it. Final note then. Peter, thank you so much for your time. I know you've travelled down. Listen, it's a pleasure. I learned so much from speaking to Peter, one of the most kind gentlemen in the sport as well.
Who's that, me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people in boxing won't agree with you, but, you know, who cares? Not interested.
As long as we like each other, that's all right, isn't it, Peter?
I want to give a shout out to my friend Billy Nelson as well. And Martin Bacoli, he's been messed around quite a lot recently. World-class heavyweight. You know, so people around him need to pull the finger out.
We'll leave it there. October Red with Peter Fury.